Judges, if you guys want to quick remind them your titles and what you do.
Oh, I am a software engineer and I work on Pokemon Go. Names too. I'm Danny. I'm Crystal. I'm the head of narrative audio and cinematics, and it's more, I don't make the games, I'm studio leadership.
I'm Clayton. I'm a staff designer at Bungie. I'm activities and counter designer a bit on for Destiny 2.
I'm Matt. I'm a principal technical designer, and I work on a Dungeons and Dragons game.
Hello, probably a question for Crystal. As all of our students are, and I'm sure we have a lot of seniors here in the room getting ready to head out towards lives in the workforce. We've heard a lot about downturns in the tech sector. How does the economic outlook and employment prospects look in the industries that this line of work is focused on?
Every studio is going to be a little bit different depending on sort of like what their business goals are and what their product strategy is. If you go to, specifically for Bungie, if you go to our careers webpage, you can see we're hiring a lot. Maybe not as much as we were 6 months ago, but we're still hiring a lot. And it tends to predominantly be in the engineering field. But there's still roles out there for design. There are roles for, we're hiring like a senior audio lead for the Marathon franchise right now. So there are roles across all disciplines. You'll just see a little bit more concentration towards some of the more specialized and technical and hard to hire for roles. I don't see necessarily like a downturn, maybe a slowing down in hiring because games are just, they're continuing to increase like overall revenue like worldwide year over year.
It's also cyclical, so like you'll see this happen so often, and so while like Crystal was saying, we might be on more of like a downturn now, in a year or so that would increase, I imagine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I teach game design at high school as well. I don't have a team here this year, unfortunately. But a question I've gotten from a lot of parents and students this year as I've been trying to grow my program is, I don't know none of you work directly in HR, but the industry has changed a lot over the last year. These days, what do you think that your hiring managers look most for? And I get there, an entry-level junior developer, right? Someone who's like fresh out of college or maybe like looking for an internship. What are the is it the degrees these days, or is it just what their portfolio of the things that they made so far look like? Is it just connections, or?
Yeah, so I actually, for Bungie, I was the hiring manager for our very first activities game design intern. And the thing that was obvious to me is that what we wanted to look for were verbatim what we were asking for. And so the biggest advice that I could give is like definitely put effort into your cover letter because that's just required. I know that's not the most fun thing to do, right? And then when you're constructing your resume, tailor it to the verbiage and the specific skills that they're asking for. Yeah, because I think that is what's going to get you ahead of all of the other list of resumes, right?
And as far as let's compare the value of having a degree from a place like say DigiPen versus just having a rather stocky, healthy looking like a GitHub portfolio or an art portfolio. Which do you think you would actually weight higher?
I could let other people speak. Yep. So I would say, and I don't want to discredit education in any way because it does provide you with the tools to generate the other thing. But I think what you've done from your portfolio side is a lot more important, experience in portfolio, because having a degree doesn't tell us anything about what you've done, but showing us what you've done does. And then another big one, and I hate this part of it too, but networking is really important because if someone can vouch for you, it's going to go way further than just about anything else can.
That about checks out what I tell my kids, so I'm glad that the world is still at least reasonably sane. Thank you.
And what I'd add to that too is if you apply somewhere and you don't get in, it doesn't mean you're never going to get in. It just means maybe you weren't the right fit at that time. I've definitely, as a hiring manager, I save interesting resumes for future candidates. Sometimes people are applying for senior level positions and they don't have any experience. I'm like, okay, you just don't have enough experience. That's okay. they go into like my early careers buckets, so that when I have that headcount open, like we tend to have our discipline manager reach out to them directly, say, hey, you were interested once, are you still interested? So we do a more curated path towards hiring to look for individuals who have shown interest and then ask them to reapply again. And we've had a lot of success that way.
It also shows that they have a lot of discipline and persistence, being persistent, and works on a goal like that then as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, that definitely answers my question.
What's your favorite part about being in the industry?
The people. I work with awesome, really, really smart, talented people that make my job really, really fun.
Yeah.
I like being a part of something that's bigger than me and that will sort of live on past me and sort of beyond the scope that I would normally be able to reach. My first QA job was on a Pokemon game, and a little bit of text I put in for a bug got put into that game. And that was like my light bulb I wanted to be a designer moment, because I knew that there's going to be millions of people consuming the thing I made, and that's my real driving factor.
I would say like teamwork would be mine. And from the designer's perspective, like making some crude gray box and then artists coming in and just making it so beautiful is like never gets old, and it's one of like my favorite moments in the pipeline. That's a lot of fun.
I would also say it's working on something for so long and then seeing it like all come together, and it's like, wow, I actually made a video game. That's really cool. But yeah, people are also a huge part of it. Some studios are going to be better than others, and while people are entering studios, just remember that if one studio is taking a lot from your soul, it doesn't mean that all studios are going to do that, and you're allowed to go somewhere else.
What are your favorite games?
I've been addicted to Dota 2 for 12 years, and I will never escape.
Probably Mass Effect. I've played through the original trilogy like a couple of times, and then I just have an ungodly number of hours sunk into World of Warcraft. An embarrassingly high number.
Yeah, I'll throw out Mega Man X as a huge one. There's so many, and Metal Gear Solid 3, right? And that's coming out as a remake, so I'm excited for that.
I'm sort of like consummate dabbler, so I don't know if I could say I have like a favorite, but that's why I really like roguelikes a lot. And so recently, like Hades was really great. Into the Breach is really great. There's probably a bunch more I can't think of because I'm on the spot, but that sort of type of game is where I usually find myself falling back.
What are your least favorite or the hardest parts about working in the industry?
So this is mainly coming from the perspective of an engineer, and I also like to preface this, it's just part of it, but it can be spending a lot of time putting your heart and soul into a feature, and then it getting cut, or it getting changed drastically, or your entire game just not coming out. And that is hard, but you know, it's something you have to learn to deal with and adapt to, and there's always more stuff to go and do next.
As someone who does a lot of like organizational and like operational type stuff, it for me, I think it's like how much you realize like you care so much about your team and the people and the product and the process and like the policies and just like how all of those things come together. And when they're working really, really well, it can feel great. And when it gets hard, it gets really, really, really hard. So that's the part about games. Like games can be like super, super fun to make. They're also really, really hard, and it can be draining.
This is like an essential core skill to have, but it doesn't mean that it's not easier to do. But giving hard feedback, like giving people blunt feedback to better them is always a tough thing. Having hard conversations is just always a tough thing to do. But knowing that it's going to make potentially that person better, or the team better, or the product better is a good reminder.
So I think, short of going fully indie, the constant reminder that you are working on like a business product, and there are times when you have to make artistic sacrifices and creative sacrifices to make something more marketable, which is sort of a truth of any industry. And that can be rough in certain studios. That'll be way worse than others. So if you can find one that sort of lets the creativity shine and then figures out how to make it marketable after the fact, you gotta win it.